What's up, guys? Welcome to Chasing Projects. I'm Jeff, and this is your SoCal fishing forecast for Thursday, August 24th. Quick look at our weather here. We finally got past this Hurricane 2023 that seemed not to do really a whole lot, thankfully. But we got sunny skies, warm temps going into the next several days here, and looks how a proper summer should be. Coming back to the wind schedule here. Still looking a little bumpy offshore. I'll tell you that I've been watching this chart the last 3 days in a row, and it's been different every single day. So can't put a lot of faith into it per se. But it's looking better than what it was a couple days ago. It was showing this weekend being a lot windier out there. Although we're showing 15, 16 knots right here. Out on the Outer Banks, it was showing 20 plus. So it is looking better, a little bit back to the normal trend here, but we'll see how it holds up here. But yeah, overall, still looking fishable. Maybe not so friendly for the private boat guys, but it's definitely fishable. So, but you see all this stuff out here. This is the stuff that could change direction, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Not a lot to read into it. All right, so this is a 1 day chart here. This is the most accurate sea surface temp chart that there is. And this gives you the best reading so you can see what has happened since our little tropical storm Hillary came through here. But overall, not much change for the outer waters. But as you can tell here, the inner waters have definitely gotten churned up. It's showing 64 in here. It's been even lower than that. So it's starting to recover slowly here. But basically what happens is when that eye comes up through here, which it basically is a little bit more inland, not necessarily on the coast, but luckily the eye was on land when it came up through our waters here. And really had like an offshore to an east wind, and it really didn't jab us up too much. Now the inner waters paid the price here. You can see everything's kind of turned over here. But offshore, that's pretty much status quo. So here's the water temp out at the Tanner. And, the 20th, you can see it dropped down to 68 from 70.5. And it recovered nicely, back to 70.5. I can tell you that if you want to look at some of these other stuff, there's a lot of good charts for different buoys when we get to inshore here. So, let's say like Point Loma South. We can look at the monthly plot because they don't really give you a week status here, but no, that's not a good one to look at. Anyways, the idea is that those water temps dropped significantly and pretty rapidly. So you can pretty much count out your inshore fishing. That includes the islands, Coronado as well. Until this stuff recovers, it's going to be a little bit gross. But I also want to point out that we also had a lot of rain. And with rain, typically ramps up the chlorophyll. And you can see where we got all of that runoff out here. And we got some green water here, and it's a little greener along the coast here than what it really appears. At least on Sunday, you could see it in the water from a mile from shore how turned up this water was. But it is recovering as well, so we'll see how it goes. It's not a bad thing, just the change in conditions for the time of year, and it is what it is. So, but let's get back to what we got fishing wise. So let's start at Channel Islands. We're seeing those bluefin pop up again here, just below the Channel Islands, all the way out even at the Santa Rosa Flats. And for you NorCal guys, there's been a reappearance of the bluefin. Again, I guess I don't have a chart to show you at the moment, but just below the Farallon Islands again, we've had good showing of bluefin, all caught again on Mad Max. Also areas around the buoy there at Half Moon Bay, seeing some good action in that area as well. So roughly 20, 30 miles offshore, and then slightly below that, some of those Fort Bragg guys again are seeing the albacore. So yeah, we're getting kind of a good mix of fishing along California's coast this year, and headed right into an El Nino year, so you never know what you're going to get. But moving further down south, so a lot of this stuff is going to be like, you can consider that the storm is basically a reset for the most part. So if someone hasn't looked at it, since the storm, I wouldn't consider it good information because this stuff changes very quickly after that. Catalina is going to be the same old story. Not a lot seen. You probably got a chance to look into the swordfish here, and maybe some kelp patty stuff in the channel and the shipping lanes. Usually a good area to look. But overall, unless it's really spent a lot of time and looked at, usually stuff in the zone is kind of up and down and quick. So there's been reports of like bluefin popping up here and little foamers. Like your chances of catching this stuff is pretty thin, considering how fast it moves and it's not really staying in one place at one time. So a lot of the stuff will be up and down. By the time you roll up on it, it'll be pieced out and you'll never see it again. So if your hopes of planning your entire day here and thinking that you're going to land a bunch of fish, I wouldn't count on it. Your best chance is really going to be the Outer Banks right now, where these fish are kind of locked in on the bank, and they're going to basically sit there for the next 60 days or so, more or less. So it's just kind of, it is what it is. And that goes along with any of this stuff in this channel. They really don't spend a lot of time locked in here. This is just a traveling zone always, and we'll see what happens. If you come across something, obviously kelp patty fishing is a little bit different. Kelp patty dorado, kelp patty yellowtail, you kind of be locked on those patties and you can work them. But when it comes to like schools of schools of tuna and locking in on a certain piece of structure, not likely. Moving out west, let's talk about those Outer Banks. I was on supposed to be a 2-day trip last weekend, and we ended up turning it into a day and a half. And coming home first thing Sunday morning just to play it on the safe side, although things looked like weren't going to be a big deal. Windy conditions are just not really great, especially for the type of fishing that was going on. So we set a call early, play it safe. But we got out to Cherry Banks, which is this area right about here. It's just slightly northwest of Tanner, about 11 miles or so. And this is the primary zone everyone was really looking at. There's a fleet of San Diego boats that are already there, probably like, let's say a dozen. We didn't get here till 5 a.m., like just before sunrise. First school we saw was like right at 5:30, like on the edge of gray light. We hung 10, like first drop, first bend. We had 10 on the boat. I picked up like a 100-pounder. Which obviously still fun. So we did that. Sun rose, turned off instantly on the jigs, even on lighter line. They didn't want the jig there. And then we slid up a little bit further in, worked the zone a little bit, and it really just turned into a plunker bite. And I'd say these fish, man, they're really boat shy. I mean, really boat shy. We did fly the kite. And with the flying fish, they didn't even look at it. Not one flash on it. Maybe it needed a little bit more action. There's a lot of mixed grade fish in here too. Some of the stuff is around 200. Some of the stuff is up on top. It just kind of really mixed around. No real consistency to it. What got bit was a sinker rig during the daytime, and also long soaked baits way away from the boat. You thought line size would matter, but they bit the sinker rig on 80 sometimes. They bit fly line baits on 60, like way out there, and you like scale down to a smaller hook or smaller line, thinking that you're going to get bit quicker, and it really just didn't matter. They really just wanted a good bait, really far away from the boat, and that's really what worked. Like one school, Steve here. Cap thought they were smaller fish on the screen, and they weren't. So he ended up hooking like, I would call us probably pretty close to like right around 150. And Steve's got a bad case of tennis elbow, so this fish was just really giving him a lot of trouble. But this is one of those fish that he hooked on 30-pound on a 1-aught, and it kicked his butt, man. He ended up passing it off. I helped him out for a while, and we buttoned down the drag to try and speed up the process. But he passed me the rod after he was about a half hour into it, and then I spent about another 45 minutes with it. And then I was like, dude, this is yours. Like, you need to kill this thing. I want you to kill it. And so we buttoned up the drag a little bit more, and then pass it back and forth a couple more times just to give them a little bit of relief. But this is one of those stubborn fish that wouldn't swim down. And that means you're stuck in high gear, dropping the rod sometimes, high sticking it, and really just playing games with it. I think we only had it up and down for maybe a minute at the most. And then this thing was out there on the surface. That's what I said. I could tell how big it was because I got several looks at it multiple times. And then eventually we ended up pulling the hook, I'd say about like 25, 30 feet from the boat. So frustrating one, but that's fishing. It was still, I like a good tug, So it was still fun. And he definitely got some other fish too, so not too worried about it. But so yeah, basically plunker bite for the remainder of the day. No really big fish during the daytime on the fly line stuff or sinker rig. I think the biggest was like an 80 pounder, probably other than Steve's that he lost. But we started, like, all the San Diego boats left a little bit before us. They had a lot longer drive than we did. But sundown, we looked around. They just were kind of spread out a little bit more than the night before. We're like, having trouble the night before, like finding, like, first stop, instantly saw them. We got one drop after like 2.5 hours of driving around, and I hooked a 125 pounder on a 400 gram KB. Again, same jig as the 100 pounder, and ate it, killed it, but that was the only one that bit, and we just decided to call it a night. I think we're like 2 fish short of limits for bluefin. So all in all, really good time with the boys out there. And being that this fishing hasn't changed, I would expect the exact same thing to be going on right now. So definitely have a night jigging setup, 100 pound plus, and then daytime fly line. If you got a 2-speed reel that you fly line and can put a nice bait on, fish at least 40 pound during the day. Give yourself a chance. I watched George the galley cook he was fishing with us too. I watched him hook 3 in a row on 30 pound, broke off 3 in a row like within 10 minutes. So thinking that it was just him, but it's just the way it is sometimes. So, but yeah, that's the majority of the fishing for you guys. If you're on a day and a half trip or more, you're going to be out here at the Tanner or the Cherry Banks. A couple guys looking at Cortez as well. There's some yellows in both areas here. A little bit closer to shore, there's been a good mix of yellowfin, bluefin, dorado, yellowtail, kind of in this little zone here in the basin west of the 43. Quite a few boats have been stopping at it. Some guys have been dedicating their whole time to it, but a little bit closer option for you. There's been, again, a couple of spots of bluefin popping up around the island. I mean, it's going to be hard to chase this stuff. It's not really locked in yet. To say like hardcore lock-in spots when this stuff is going to take another 3 or 4 days, I think. And then you'll know where this kind of settles out, because anything that was inshore here got pushed up or pushed west, and it's just really all mixed up. Being that we still have warmer water down here by the 371, you still got a good chance of looking at kelp patty, dorado, and yellowtail in this area. 371, 425, there's good structure in here and a lot of kelp patties. And it seems the last 2 days there's been a decent volume in here, and guys have been looking at pretty good. So that would be another close option for you without having to go far west. Some boats have looked down here to the Upper Hidden and south. Not much further than the Upper Hidden, to be honest. Sure, there may be more south, not really sure. But the boats have come down as far as the Upper Hidden, have not really seen anything yet. But you still got a chance of the stuff pushing up. But for now, just avoid this cool water. It's turned up, it's green. It's not pelagic friendly at the moment, but maybe another week or so, some of the stuff will get itself back together here, and we'll get a better bite. Like I said, coronados are in this zone, probably not looking too great. Secondly, island, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody to go fish this island versus fishing offshore right now. It just seems like, sure, there's yellows around, but don't waste your whole day here trying to chase this sporadic stuff, especially sporadic fishing, the seals, the flies. It just has not been a fun island this year to fish. So, but that's it for this week, guys. If you've never been to our website, chasingpelagics.com, not only will we find video forecasts like this, but we also do a written version of it. I try and get up on the Thursday with screenshots and highlighting all the areas I talk about as well. You can also find our online store there, where we sell tackle specifically for Southern California sport fishing. And yeah, all the stuff's there. So we don't do Patreon or anything like that. We're not trying to take your money like that. So I really give something to you, a value, and an exchange also on top of some good tackle as well for a fair price. So that's it for this week, guys. We'll see you next week, and be safe out there in the water. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out our website and online store at chasingprojects.com. And make sure you share the stoke.